I want to take you out to Christina Thompson to get you the very latest as we dissect what is happening in the courtroom of several days of jury deliberations. Christina, what do we know this hour?
So it appears that the jury is hung. They cannot come to a decision unanimously on count number 1. Therefore, the judge is saying it's unnecessary for them to move on to count 2. He's going to go back to the jury and ask them to at least try to deliberate again solely on count 1 to see if they will be able to come to somewhat of a unanimous conclusion, at least on that count. But as of this point, the jury has just passed a note to the courtroom telling the judge that they cannot come together on a decision and either convict him or not, find him guilty or not on these charges, that it's just too difficult for them. I mean, this is the 4th day of deliberations, right? That's over 18 hours that they've been deliberating. They've asked numerous questions to the judge, asking for specific definitions to be repeated to them about this trial because the wording is just very confusing on the judge's instructions. They had to repeat those twice. And ultimately, what it boils down to is they did not think that there was sufficient enough evidence to find Daniel Penny guilty. They could not come to a conclusion on that. So at this point, we do have a hung jury. The judge is, however, going to ask them to look at count 1 and try to potentially maybe come to a verdict on that one. We're going to have to wait and see what the decision is by the jury to see if they want to keep deliberating. Sean, Emma.
All right, Christina Thompson, just getting that in again, appearing to be a hung jury at this point. The judge rather pushing back to see if they can reach a verdict on charge 1. The assistant district attorney, I believe, stepping in as well, wanting to get a decision on count 2. It gets a bit complicated in the weeds. Christina, thank you. That's why we have Judge Andrew Napolitano joining us live here on set. And the judge is getting the information just as we are. So we appreciate you rolling with us here. But we talked about this earlier. Can you explain where they are right now?
So the jury foreperson would hand a note to the judge saying, we can't agree on the first count, which is criminally negligent to homicide. We haven't even talked about the second count. And the judge is trying to decide, am I going to upend this and say, a mistrial, you got to start all over, or am I going to give an Allen charge? Now, what is an Allen charge? There are several versions of the Allen charge, but the one that this judge will probably use is basically you have a duty to decide. You have a duty to put aside your personal prejudices. You can't make a decision on the basis of what you think is public policy. You have to decide, actually looking in the eyes of, I've done this myself. You look, as I'm doing to Emma now, you look in the eyes of each juror as you're admonishing. You must make this decision on the basis of the law and the facts as you see them in the courtroom, not on anything else that may be influencing you. And you send them back in to resume deliberations. Sometimes the Allen charge works, sometimes it doesn't. So there are obviously people in both camps on this jury. People who think this is a crime, people who think he was a hero, and they can't reconcile.
Yeah, and you wonder what the breakdown is of the numbers.
Well,
we don't know.
We'll know the breakdown if he declares a mistrial and people like Christina and other people in the press to swamp the jury and ask them, because once the case is done and they're no longer jurors, they are free to speak. We'll also hear stories about what went on inside the jury room, which will be fascinating. We'll be analyzing this stuff until there's a second trial, unless, of course, the Allen charge works and they come to a decision today. So bear in mind, again, we talked about this earlier. It's Friday. It's 28 degrees out. We want to go home.
And they've gotten to this point of we cannot reach a verdict, at least right now, to escalate this into a point where the judge would give an Allen charge, as you explained, of what that is.
Right.
And this is all happening before noon. Is there a possibility that there could be some ruling by the end of the day today?
They may come back to him in 15 minutes and say, we can't budge. And he'll say, that's it. Mistrial, look at the prosecutor and say, you decide what to do. You want to let him go? You want to try him again? They're never going to let him go. They've invested so much time in this. By let him go, I mean let him go without a trial hanging over his head. He's not incarcerated.
So he would be out while a new trial would begin. Is that?
Oh, yeah. He's out on bail now. So the situation would remain the same. The only way his personal freedom would be affected is if he's convicted of anything and they either increase the bail or pull it altogether.
I see.
Unlikely in this case. I don't think he's a threat to society. This event that he was involved with is not something that he's going to do again tomorrow.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.